Da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Hey everyone, welcome to Alternative Improvised Radio, or Alt Improv Radio for short. I'm Don Kleppin, hosting again, and this week I'm joined by Joseph Room once again. How's it going, buddy?
It goes. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. Thanks again for coming.
Absolutely.
And in for Pat Perez this week, who's off somewhere swimming with the dolphins, is Philip Bobbit. Phil, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
It's really appreciative of you to come down.
My pleasure anytime.
So this week, as usual, we've got a few topics that we're just going to go ahead and rifle through for a few minutes, kind of talk about whatever comes up. No real structure, but we're all just going to kind of say what's on our minds whenever we hear these topics. And as always, you can tweet us when if you'd ever like to suggest topics, you can tweet us at Alt Improv Radio, all one word, and we'd love to read through those, and any week we'll consider those for what we'll talk about. But for now, we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off. You guys ready?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I'm so ready.
Okay, here we go. This is another episode of Alt Improv Radio. Got a little up-tempo stuff
that
for
is
you in
catchy.
your life, huh?
I like that.
Isn't that nice?
That is nice.
Isn't that nice?
Right.
Pterodactyl.
Oh! So, cool story about the pterodactyl. Unfortunately, Pat isn't here because he would be able to tell the story best. But I go through a lot of weird different characters and phases, and one of them, of course, was known as the pterodactyl, which can only be described as terrifying if you've never seen it before.
In what situation? Like, what are we talking about?
I've used it in a lot of social structures, I suppose, as a party quirk, if you would. Me being who I am, you're gonna remember me. I'm a big guy. I'm easy to miss, and you know what? I might as well leave a lasting, if not slightly traumatizing impression, I should say.
So
of myself.
you go into parties and you just come up to people and you make this pterodactyl noise.
And there's also a specific posture and gesture that goes with it.
What is it?
Have you ever done like the chicken dance? Where you
Yeah, of course. Flap your elbows.
Kind of a little bit like that. A little less, I suppose, uniform, because you're a pterodactyl.
You want to stay unpredictable.
Sure, and it's quite the show, and I
hope you don't take any offense to this, but you do kind of have the nostril structure and upper jaw structure to resemble kind of a pterodactyl.
Yeah, I would totally agree with Phil there.
Yeah, I appreciate the
little
input.
bird-like,
but lizard-like at the same time.
At the same time, right.
Those are
Totally.
redeeming qualities I strive for in everyday life, guys.
Yeah, and it looks like your bones might be very lightweight.
And you look a bit slitherable.
Yeah,
slitherable.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the noise, you literally roll up to people in a party and you just
yeah, that's exactly what was the noise, and I don't remember what originally started it, but it's one of those
frightening
favorite things.
And you fling your elbows outward at them,
and there's kind of like an awkward step, and it's
a whole body movement
yes,
and an explosion of noise.
Yes,
I wish I could be at that party.
I know. That is quite an entrance. That is really how you leave an impression.
Like I said, you got to leave that impression. You
Nobody
only get
is
one
forgetting
chance.
you.
Exactly.
Right, and
exactly.
they're probably keeping their head on a
little
swivel
traumatized,
the rest
I would
of the
imagine,
night.
Right? But it's the ones that aren't that matter.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pterodactyls.
Yes, sir.
By the way, can I say the P at the beginning of that word?
Silent.
How frustrating is that?
Silent.
You know what I mean? Like whenever
Why don't you hear
think of pterodactyl,
because the P is silent.
Oh my God. Jesus, that's as bad as the party gesture that you were just making. Parties. Speaking of that.
Yeah, right. I just what a nice segue. So I can't profess to have gone to many parties recently. It seems like as we get older...
Well, you nobody's inviting you back after the fucking pterodactyl shows up and elbows them in the jaw?
That too. It seems that it's not good for making and keeping friends. How to win people and influence friends, whatever that famous book is called. I missed that.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. Well, you should write your sublet, like your chapter afterwards of, hey, you missed the part about, pterodactyl noises
terrorizing
and physical
people
contact.
with a extinct dinosaur-like impression.
Right. But
I think your book is probably more titled "How to Be an Introvert Successfully."
how to be forced into exile.
How to forget that other people exist.
Exactly.
But I have lived a rather full life at this point, so I think my memoirs are definitely worthy of being read.
Since we are talking,
you're cashing in your chips, is what you're saying.
You're all done.
Absolutely. I'd retire by the age of 35. That's my plan, gents. I got 8 years now.
Cool. But when you're talking about parties, other party quirks besides like pterodactyl stuff, like how do you let's say you see a cute girl, like how do you typically like approach that? What's your go-to pickup line? Because I usually typically what I like to do is go up to the drink area, and I usually scout out to see if there's anybody not talking to anyone. That's just easy.
Sure.
It's easy to start a conversation.
Absolutely.
But like if there's one, it's a little tougher if there's somebody, like a girl you're scoping who's talking to somebody. That's like...
I think what he's trying to ask you is, how do you recover from after the sound effect? That's what he's getting to. How do you come back at that and keep them next to you as opposed to running away?
So you make a valid point, and I suppose it's a rather extreme icebreaker to use the pterodactyl, but I feel like once you've kind of exposed yourself in a way to people like that...
Oh, I see. It's a good way of weeding out the people that aren't going to want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Bring it down to the core.
It's a good judge of character.
Yeah,
if they respond positively to the pterodactyl, nothing else I throw at them is going to be nearly...
You've already spotted a good friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is already a willing ally for the cause there.
It's sort of like, how people weed out, like recruiters weed out bad resumes. You look for
keywords and I look for key reactions. Right.
Yeah, right.
It's in the detail.
Protests.
So definitely one of the big things that happens in our wonderful country, and especially in our wonderful city, is that there's a lot of activism. There's a lot of people that are fighting for change.
Do you guys feel that protesting is a valuable or a legitimate way to sort of broach your grievances with the system?
I think it's good, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about this. I think where it crosses the line from good to useless is as soon as it either becomes destructive in any way or violent in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of touch on your point right there, Phil, and I completely agree that you're right pretty much across the board. If we look at the history of protests, obviously there's a young gentleman we all know by the name of Martin King from the parts of Georgia, and he led one of the most successful civil rights movements.
Are you talking about Martin Luther King Jr.?
His name is Martin King. Why do we have to call him Martin Luther King Jr.?
Because he is Junior. His dad was Martin King.
Martin King. A young man by the name of Martin King.
But you have to differentiate because his dad was a figure too.
Not the point of the argument I'm about to make there,
I know.
Chief.
Also, let me also refute something else. You say one of the most successful civil rights. I would argue it's probably the most successful civil rights movement.
There's been a couple. I mean, we can also talk about the one that occurred
in America. Most successful.
Sure. But I was generalizing on a much larger scale. Long story short, you were right, and he did that through peace. And
of course,
simplified protest.
That was his message. You have to keep it peaceful.
And I think that's where, in this 2015 and this post-Martin Luther King civil rights era, when we still see these civil rights struggles, we have to remember the histories of the past, what worked, what was effective, what was ineffective. And I think you are absolutely correct, Phil, when you say as soon as it becomes destructive in a way, as soon as the people who are against the protesters' message can demonize the message in some way, shape, or form, whether it's intentional or not by either side, as soon as you can present it in a false light and start to undermine the credibility of the protest, that's where I feel like the efforts of protesting become an effort in futility, because the media is a weapon. Let's be very clear.
That's what I'm going. That's the big thing.
Before you start, let me say one thing though. I think it's important to differentiate that King was much different than your average protester throughout the world today. I think the point being that peaceful protesting is the way to go for sure, and that was King's message. But I think one of the many things that led him to be so successful and lead such a movement was the fact that he was such a brilliant man and such a gifted orator. Anybody who is, look at Barack Obama. The best leaders all over the world, all throughout history, are the ones that could really whip up a crowd into a frenzy, and those are the people that can speak the best. And King was, the I Have a Dream speech, obviously, is one of the most famous. As rightfully so.
All it takes is one thing. You literally have to pitch a perfect game. If you're a pitcher at a baseball game, you have to pitch a perfect game if you're protesting in order for that to work. Otherwise, the whole thing is for naught.
Well, the truth is, too,
Because
if you're a protester,
they will pick on it, and you run the risk of that one little
Becoming
mistake.
the memorable-
Two people,
Yep.
two people destroy a Christmas tree. That's what everyone's going to remember.
And that is why the media is a double-edged sword. People
much so.
want, when you're protesting especially, you want the
To be
media
noticed,
there. You
because
want the
you want
coverage
the
because
word
it's
to be
getting
spread.
your message out there. That's exactly what you want. But by having them there, you're opening yourself up for the possibility of ridicule. Because if you do something like vandalize a Christmas tree or break a window or hurt somebody, that is what the media is going to focus on because that's what they're there looking for. They're looking for a story. You're going to try and use them to promote your message or to get something across. That can be very useful for you, and to do that, you maintain peace, you maintain order, and you just very calmly you put it out there with your numbers and your words. But if you do something stupid, the media is absolutely going to take that footage and they're going to run with it because they're going to get more ratings later when they run the video of the vandalizing over the crowd shots of the chanting protesters, and that's just the way that it works. So that's why those groups, whether it's Occupy Wall Street or whatever your mission is, groups of protesters always need to have a leader if you're trying to accomplish anything, and it's a guy that takes responsibility for everyone being on the same page and being like, hey, I'm here, we're doing this is a rally, and nobody is stepping out of line, because if you do, you compromise the whole thing.
That's kind of something to be said about the system that we have here in the United States. We kind of have
Your elected official,
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
alderman,
and you contact
whatever.
them and you say, I have this idea for something. Here's an idea for a bill. I actually wonder how many people take advantage of this.
It's a great point, Phil, and you almost wonder. It's
Protesting
sometimes
is not the
it's-
most efficient way.
No,
It's
sometimes
a very-
it's easier. It's easier for them, I think, to get together with a group of their friends or coworkers or like-minded individuals and cut work one day and go on a street corner and kind of march up and down and wave a sign and shout through a blowhorn and just kind of like, angrily sort of chant your message. I understand that is easy, but the truth is, like you said, it might not be the most efficient way. We do have a democracy, supposedly. You can contact your elected official, and you can try various other ways to get your change implemented.
And to kind of espouse on that and also to kind of wrap this up, I'd like to quote one of a great movie known as Starship Troopers, perhaps you gentlemen.
Of course.
Rico's Raiders, when Rico is talking about Dizzy's death.
Yeah.
Are you a civilian or are you a citizen?
Yes.
Civilians of the Commonwealth rely on others to do it for them. Citizens of the Commonwealth take the mantle upon themselves.
Flatulence. Next topic.
Yeah, wow.
Speaking of which, I've been releasing some flatulence for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm glad someone copped to it because this is a small space and there's
you're
no
getting
ventilation in
I am
studio.
not. It's I'm
What?
putting baby in the corner. I mean,
You're next to him.
apparently it's going that way.
I guess.
'Cause I am not catching it. Thank gosh.
This is rancid.
Let me tell you.
I don't think it's traveling. I think it's just more like a hovering soup around me.
It is. That's a really interesting way to put it. It is almost as if I can see the air
you guys
shimmering
seen that
around you.
commercial?
like those heat waves off the pavement.
Exactly.
Except it's coming on from around
Right.
my
It
butt
looks
cheeks.
as if there's magnetic waves coming off. You look like Magneto or something.
There you go.
And the room just reeks more and more, and it's just like your power is building.
I feel like flatulent Nito.
Flash of the needle. There you go. It's a new mutant power.
Which is Nito.
The friggin' skunk of the mutant world, damn it.
There's a
take what
commercial
you
with
got.
they're like, what if you could see yourself coughing all day? Well, bitch, what if you could see yourself farting all day?
Yeah, that
would
would
be heinous. That would be heinous. You walk behind some pretty bitty and she
Oh God, yeah. Down the street, like some nice, like pretty little girl in a
a
dress, and you're just like,
dime
oh,
maybe,
what's
yeah.
up? All of a sudden, like
you see like this
cloud of
yellowish
red
green-
smoke just expels.
We could sell a product for dates called a butt plug. And it's basically like a rubber cork that you stick up there when you got big gas. Plug it up.
Listen, Phil, I got news for you, bro.
They
That ship
beat you-
has sailed,
they
bro.
beat you to it,
that
bro.
ship, there is a very booming butt plug industry.
I'm not
right now.
talking about for sexual purposes. I'm talking modest in size so that
I got you.
you get what I'm saying.
Travel companion.
Exactly. And this is for when you're on a
Give it
date.
blue
So you do
suit.
this to yourself.
No, I'm just suggesting it hypothetically. I'm not saying that you do it I do it personally. I don't have a butt plug in me now.
So you haven't tested this product?
I've been seeping for hours.
Yeah, I know. Clearly you do not use it. Well, this isn't a date setting though either. So I can understand if you used it for dates, but you didn't decide to employ it for here.
Well, then you gotta get dates to use them for dates. So
also, are you insinuating that you just you have no control? You're just leaking out methane all the time?
Contributing to global warming, whether he wants to or not.
Phil?
I can tell you for a fact, I lose control.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm very sorry about this. It's been seeping. It's been seeping for the past 20, 30 minutes.
Gee,
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Now that I'm back focused again, we're talking about flatulence. I'm back focused.
You're thinking about
I'm plugging the hole.
So you are capable of clenching your sphincter.
That is a superpower within itself, Mr.
But-
Flatulentito.
You can't clench your sphincter?
No, I can. I'm doing it now. But but that's the.
I know that's just because I was staring deeply at your thighs.
Oh well, I mean
Those
that
creamy
was the
thighs.
extra clench that you just saw. That's on top of my already fierce sphincter clench.
Your default clothes.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like
what are
what's
those
that?
exercises called? Kinesthesiology, or when you practice clenching your lower extremities? There's a name
Kegels.
for it. Kegels. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you a Kegel master there, bro?
Oh yeah, it's nice and easy. You can just do it while you're standing anywhere, and you just 3, 4, and release. You just kind of.
It
It's
keeps
great.
you focused. That's almost
It
like a
does.
type of meditation.
Right. Plus, if you do it long enough and with enough focused study, you can sort of expel poop out like a missile.
Oh man.
Yeah, like a. It's almost like a pressure cannon.
Yes.
You build it up, you push to the edge, and then boop.
Yeah. There's even a little pop that accompanies it.
Man.
Soda.
Do the do.
Do the do.
Absolutely.
Always do the do.
I think.
Delicious.
Let me also say, I just want to say that I think it's great that all of us in this room refer to it as soda, not pop.
It's a Midwestern thing.
It is. It is.
Well, pop is a Chicago thing.
Pop is a Chicago thing specifically
is
because
true.
being from Wisconsin, that is where I've always learned soda. That's what we call it there. And so like here, as I was growing up and I heard it referred to as pop, I was always just like, I don't know. Pop is an onomatopoeia. Soda is carbonated sugar water.
Exactly. I completely agree. Yeah, I get pop. And, a lot of people I know, of course, refer to it as pop. But
Yeah,
you know what?
same. And I know what they're talking about,
course.
obviously, but I just think of it in my head as
It's
soda.
I'll tell
Absolutely.
you, everywhere else in the country, everybody refers to it as soda.
Yeah.
I don't know. In the
Midwest-
South, they like to call it the Coke.
I was just going to say that. In
yeah,
Texas,
Coke.
especially, they call it Coke.
Yeah.
Everything is a Coke.
You're absolutely right. There are those few places where it is the Coke. But yeah, there's the Coke, then it's soda everywhere. But in the Midwest, it's pop.
Yeah. Such a strange phenomenon. But,
I-
I want to say,
Pop.
exactly. You say it enough, it's just like, ooh, you're beatboxing all of a sudden.
Almost. Boots and cats.
But, I will also say that I have not drank soda in quite some time without alcohol, let me say. I will typically, imbibe some soda with Captain Morgan in there or something like that, or a 7 and 7,
Sure.
little 7 Up
I
and Seagrams,
will
which
tell
is
you,
nice.
I am an absolute purist.
You are a soda purist.
I think alcohol actually undermines the taste of the soda rather than the soda being an enhancer to the alcohol.
It's such a strange philosophy on that, considering that soda is just this chemically
I love it.
created
all kinds
thing, and you're like have this developed palate
Sure.
for soda, and you're
I
like
can talk
ranking
to you
it.
about the differences and nuances and the Cokes and
Right.
the Pepsis and the 7-Ups.
What flavors are you picking up from the Mountain Dew? What is that? Electric Vibe or whatever the newest one is. Livewire.
So Mountain Dew, of course, is one of the most unique because they've certainly had some of the most unique flavors. I don't know if you gentlemen remember a while back they had what was called Pitch Black. It was the grape Mountain Dew for the Star Wars movie.
Never tried
Darth Dew was its nickname.
Darth Dew.
Darth Dew, absolutely.
Oh my God, that is the best name ever.
It
Darth
is.
Dew.
I hope that's a villain in the new Star Wars
It
movie,
was
by the way.
delicious.
That's
it
the
was
guy,
grape
that's the main
Dew.
guy who's joking to be
Darth Dew.
I love it. And
Darth
they've had
not.
They've had some great flavors, and they've also had some bombs. I will definitely say the Baja Blast from Taco Bell.
That's it. Baja Blast.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's great.
Tropical Lime Storm.
That- oh,
completely
yeah.
false advertising because I don't think there's
yeah.
anything lime about it, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
They also have a new one. I recommend it. It's called Sangrita Blast,
Oh,
which
gosh.
is like a Sangrita punch. First couple times I had it, it was I didn't like it. I guess the machines or whatever, the soda fountains didn't have the proper blend, but I've had it a couple times, and let me tell you, it's quite good. I'm excited. The Livewire is a summer thing, which is, of course, the orange one. Code Red is their cherry flavor, always classic. Love me some Diet Code Red. I think standard Code Red is way too sweet. There's some
so relative.
I'm
You're
so-
sitting here talking about way too sweet for regular Code Red. Every single soda has like 3 times your daily sugar content
absolutely,
in it.
but I'm just talking about the consistency, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's too filmy. It's
Ugh.
Yeah.
You can actually feel the sugar.
like decaying your teeth as you drink it. Right. But let me tell you, as
I'm
somebody,
entranced. I'm just listening.
Tempting.
As somebody who,
I'm learning.
the different kinds of nuances in root beer, which root beers do you make with ice cream floats? Which kind of root beers do you drink alone? And of course, we could also talk about, Dr. Pepper is certainly one of the most imitated sodas in the world. I believe there's up to like 26 different generic offshoots. Dr. Shasta, Dr. Thunder,
Shasta
Dr.
McNasty.
Skipper,
Mr.
just to
Pibb?
name a favorite.
Mr. Pibb?
Mr. Pibb is
its own
entity.
thing?
Mr. Pibb is actually owned by Coke, and it's no longer known as Mr. Pibb. It's Pibb Extra or Pibb Zero if you get the diet version. It is its own blend, and it's actually described as a spicy cherry cola, is Mr. Pibb.
You're like a soda savant.
I
This
love
is
it.
insane.
I'm glad you're impressed.
What is the
I've been
best...
learning so much.
What's the best root beer to use in a root beer float?
A&W is definitely the smoothest, definitely what I would call a dessert root beer. When they say Barks has bite, it's absolutely true. I think Barks has more of a drinkability on its own. Some craft root beers certainly can go both spectrums. If you've frequented the Goose Island Brewery and had their Goose Island root beer, I feel like that could go either way. It's
IBC?
delicious.
You like some IBC?
IBC is good as a drinkable. I don't like IBC as a dessert root beer. I would rather use something like mug root beer over IBC.
What about Dad's? How do you feel about Dad's?
Dad's same kind of category as A&W and Mug, kind of more of a dessert root beer. It's much smoother, a lot more vanilla going on,
Yeah.
less of a bite to it, less of a tang. Choking on my own spit, less of a tang, if you will.
I'm salivating over all this soda talk.
Yeah, right.
Have you guys ever eaten at an A&W?
Absolutely.
I have.
Those are
There's one
those
in
are
Winfield.
nice. Those
There's
are
one in
nice.
Winfield.
You
They
just
got the-
rollerbladed on out to
yeah.
you.
They got the
Absolutely.
taps. They got
Yep.
the taps right in there.
Such a unique experience. It's kind of like Sonic a little bit too, where they bring out the
Culver's,
food that
I
way.
think, as well, is
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah, Culver's is that where you can park outside and they'll bring it out to
Culver's has a more dessert than drinkable root beer.
Super
I think.
Dog.
you. That frozen custard and Super Dog.
The original. One of the
absolutely.
original.
Yeah.
I
Out
am
there
at
related
Devon,
by
yeah.
marriage to the owners of Superdog. There's absolutely no blood relation between Mo and Flo to me, but
Wow.
through several marriages, I am related to Maury and Flo.
Have you ever met them? Have you ever been over
Absolutely.
at like a family party? and-
Sure.
If they bring hot dogs? They bring
The-
fucking Super Dogs?
One of the times
They are
that-
carts. They
one
got
of the
portable
times
carts.
They
did-
better just show up with a
So-
case of them.
So you know how
Stocked in the-
there's
stocked in the
two
trunk.
there's 2 figures that stand on the Superdog. The male hot dog and the female hot dog. That's Maury and Flo. They're based on real people. Maury has since passed on. He is no longer with us, but Flo is still alive. She's a lovely, charming, 100% you cut her, she bleeds Chicago kind of woman.
I hope you're not thinking of cutting a
I'm not.
100-year-old
I'm
woman.
not.
Flo founded Super Dog.
She's great.
Yeah.
I definitely have memories of biking there with my cousins who are related to her, and we'd get the hookup from her.
For sure.
My cousin Pam especially was a big advocate of doing that back in the day. But yeah, that was laying the cut, let me tell you. Nothing like getting hooked up with Super Dogs by the people who run Super Dogs.
That must have been really nice.
Oh, it was awesome.
Fresh from the garden.
Exactly. The meat-encased garden.
Oh my God. No.
And with that, we're going to wrap up this week's episode of Alternative Improvised Radio. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Again, you can tweet at us, and we would love to read your tweets at @AltImprovRadio. You can also search for us on YouTube. We got some videos of these episodes coming up, and we'll also be on iTunes shortly. So thanks for tuning in this week and continuing to support us. Thank you, Joe, for stepping in this week. Much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Joseph
Appreciate it.
Room. And thank you, too, Philip Bobbit, for stepping in for Pat this week.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hope you can come back again sometime.
Same here.
Cool. All right, thank you so much. And that's it for us this week at Alternative Improvised Radio. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.